think it's ridiculous. And a lot of this stems from these WNBA players too. Y'all have called all Caitlin Clark fans racist. Even black Caitlin Clark fans get called the C word. Hispanic Caitlin Clark fans get called racist. Anybody that likes Caitlin Clark is being called racist.
Skip Bayless recently admitted something that should genuinely alarm anyone who cares about the future of the WNBA and sports media as a whole. One of the most recognizable and influential voices in sports commentary openly stated that he felt hesitant to publicly support Caitlin Clark on television. Not because he doubted her talent, not because he disagreed with her impact, but because he feared being labeled racist. Let that sink in for a moment. A veteran analyst with decades of experience, whose entire career is built on expressing strong opinions, felt compelled to censor himself based purely on how his support might be perceived through the lens of race. This wasn't a rookie broadcaster afraid of backlash. This was someone who has built a brand on controversy, debate, and unfiltered takes. And yet, even Skip felt the pressure. That alone tells you how toxic the conversation around Caitlin Clark has become. When someone like him says out loud that he felt constrained, not by facts or basketball analysis, but by racial optics, that's not just a personal admission. It's an indictment of the environment surrounding the league. What makes this even more concerning is that Skip made it clear he's not the only one who feels this way. There are countless analysts, commentators, and fans who quietly admit they've walked on eggshells when talking about Caitlin Clark. They've softened praise, added disclaimers, or avoided the topic entirely because they don't want their words twisted into accusations about race or intent. That's not healthy discourse. That's fear-driven silence. Sports are supposed to be the great equalizer. Talent should speak louder than identity. But Skip's admission exposes something unsettling, that in today's WNBA conversation, even acknowledging excellence can feel risky if the player doesn't fit the approved narrative. When analysts start self-policing not because they're wrong, but because they're scared, the entire ecosystem suffers. Fans notice it, players feel it, and the credibility of sports media takes a hit. This moment wasn't about Skip Bayless alone. It was a signal flare, a warning sign that the league has allowed social tension to overshadow basketball analysis. And once it happens, it becomes harder to grow the game, attract neutral fans, or have honest conversations about why certain players resonate so strongly with the public. If one of the loudest voices in sports is scared to speak freely, imagine how everyone else feels.
Gotta get to what Skip Bayless had to say. This is honestly unfortunate to hear, to be honest. Because I don't give a damn. I like Caitlin. I don't care what you call me. Y'all words don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean jack diddly squat to me. Okay? I don't give a damn. Let's see what Skip had to say.
I started watching the WNBA much more closely than I ever had, and I started to think, deep down in my psyche, wait a second, she's really good. But I'll be the first to admit, I felt guilty saying so on TV or on social.
Skip Bayless was also clear about one important thing. This situation didn't come out of nowhere. According to him, supporting Caitlin Clark slowly became more than a basketball opinion. It turned into a political statement. In his words, she was framed as a right-wing symbol, whether she wanted that label or not. And here's where the issue becomes more complex, because there is some uncomfortable truth buried in that observation. The WNBA and some of its most vocal players and supporters helped create this environment. When fans were accused of being racist simply for supporting a particular player, the tone shifted dramatically. When investigations were launched into alleged incidents, such as so-called monkey noises that later lacked clear evidence, it sent a powerful message. Enthusiasm itself was now suspicious. When entire fan bases were broadly labeled as problematic rather than welcomed, the league effectively pushed away the very audience it claimed to want. This is how you poison the well. You make people second-guess their own intentions. You turn joy into anxiety. Instead of fans feeling excited to tune in, buy tickets, or talk about the game, they start wondering whether they'll be judged for who they cheer for. That fear doesn't grow a sport. It suffocates it. But Skip's comments also reveal something deeper and more troubling. He wasn't just saying the environment was hostile. He was admitting that race had overtaken basketball itself. That he couldn't simply appreciate Caitlin Clark's skill without mentally running it through a racial filter first. That's a profound failure of the system. Because once race becomes a primary lens, the game loses its universality. Basketball should be about shooting range, court vision, gravity, leadership, and clutch moments. Instead, discussions around Caitlin Clark often spiral into cultural arguments that have nothing to do with pick and rolls or defensive schemes. That's exhausting for fans and unfair to players. Skip wasn't saying Caitlin deserved special treatment. He was saying she deserved honest evaluation and that honesty had become dangerous. And when honesty becomes dangerous, the sport pays the price. Ratings stagnate, engagement drops, casual fans walk away, not because they hate the game, but because they're tired of being lectured instead of entertained. Skip's admission wasn't a defense of Caitlin Clark alone. It was a warning about what happens when identity politics eclipse athletic excellence.
Gave you a person, and now you're rejecting it. Y'all should be like Caesar. I appreciate you, Caitlin. Thank you. I can eat a little bit better. She got paid this. She get a signature shoe. Hey, I'm a 2-time MVP. I'm a champion. The fact that there's this much animosity about the person that's feeding you. And I'm going to say it just like she's feeding y'all.
Yes.
Doors that y'all didn't do. So to be honest, shut up.
Yo, Gilbert. Oh, my God. Gilbert, you are cooking. Gilbert Arenas. Stir the pot. Stir the pot. Keep cooking. Keep cooking them, Gilbert. He talking that talk, man.
Hey, this, she get a signature shoe. Hey, I'm a 2-time MVP. I'm a champion. The fact that there's this much animosity about the person that's feeding you. And I'm going to say it just like she's feeding y'all.
Yes.
Doors that y'all didn't do. So to be honest.
What makes Gilbert Arenas' viewpoint even more powerful is who he is. He's a black former NBA star with zero stake in WNBA internal politics. He's not chasing clicks by riding a Caitlin Clark hype wave, and he's not invested in protecting any league narrative. He's simply calling it as he sees it, and what he sees is undeniable star power. The impact Caitlin Clark has is measurable. Packed arenas, spike in ticket prices, record-breaking television ratings, social media engagement exploding beyond the usual WNBA audience. None of that is subjective. None of it is tied to race. It's tied to performance and spectacle. People tune in because her game is electric, because she stretches defenses, because she shoots from distances that force fans to lean forward in their seats. Yet the WNBA allowed an environment to develop where stating these obvious truths became controversial. Complimenting Caitlin Clark somehow turned into an implicit insult to other players. Fans felt obligated to add disclaimers every time they praised her. I respect the league's history. I love other players too. This isn't about race. That's not fandom. That's walking through a minefield. And when fandom becomes exhausting, people disengage. Casual fans don't want lectures. They want excitement. They want heroes and rivalries and moments. By conflating appreciation with disrespect, the league made it harder, not easier, for people to connect emotionally with the product. That's not progress. That's self-sabotage. Even Alex Serrett from Indiana named his dog after Caitlin Clark. That small, almost humorous detail actually says a lot. He wasn't thinking about optics, narratives, or social backlash. He wasn't trying to make a statement. He simply appreciated what Caitlin did for his university and for the sport he loves. That's what real, organic fandom looks like. Connection without calculation. Fans don't fall in love with athletes because of demographic boxes. They fall in love because of moments, shots that feel impossible, games that feel unforgettable. Caitlin Clark gave people those moments. And instead of celebrating that connection, the WNBA often responded with suspicion. That response revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of sports marketing. When a player transcends a sport and attracts new viewers, you don't interrogate those fans. You don't demand ideological purity tests. You don't question their motives. You welcome them. You educate them. You convert curiosity into loyalty. The WNBA had a rare opportunity, a bridge between hardcore fans and casual viewers. And instead of reinforcing that bridge, it placed barriers on it. Caitlin Clark didn't create division. The reaction to her did. And unless the league learns from that moment, it risks repeating the same mistake the next time lightning strikes.
Let's take a look at what he had to say.
There, I just chill. I got my dog. And great town, great people. That's what I'm gonna miss the most. Cece. They may not like it. She named after Caitlin Clark. That's why I named her. Indiana fans may not like her. Yeah, that's my little.
So he named his dog after Caitlin Clark.
Skip Bayless recently admitted something that should genuinely worry anyone who cares about the future of the WNBA and the way sports are discussed in the media. One of the loudest, most experienced voices in sports television openly said he hesitated to publicly support Caitlin Clark, not because he questioned her talent, impact, or value to the game, but because he feared being labeled racist. That admission alone is startling. This is a man who built an entire career on bold opinions, controversy, and unapologetic debate. And yet, even he felt the need to censor himself, not due to basketball logic, but because of how his words might be interpreted through the lens of race. That moment revealed something far bigger than Skip Bayless as an individual. It exposed an environment where discussing a basketball player's excellence has become emotionally and socially risky. When a seasoned analyst with decades of credibility feels pressure to stay silent or soften praise, it's a sign that the conversation around the sport has drifted into dangerous territory. Skip made it clear he wasn't alone in feeling this way. Many commentators, analysts, and fans quietly admit they tread carefully when talking about Caitlin Clark. Compliments come with disclaimers. Praise comes wrapped in fear. Silence becomes the safer option. This situation didn't appear out of thin air. Skip specifically pointed out that supporting Caitlin Clark slowly became framed as a political statement, even a right-wing symbol, whether that was fair or not. And this is where the discussion becomes uncomfortable because part of that framing was created internally. Over time, some players and voices around the WNBA began accusing fans of racism simply for supporting a particular athlete. Allegations were amplified before facts were clear. Entire fan bases were painted with a broad brush and labeled problematic rather than welcomed. That kind of messaging poisons the well. It turns enthusiasm into anxiety. Instead of fans feeling invited into the sport, they feel interrogated. They begin asking themselves whether cheering too loudly, praising too freely, or showing too much interest might get them labeled or attacked. Casual fans don't stick around in environments like that. They disengage, and when casual fans leave, growth stalls. What Skip Bayless truly revealed wasn't just fear of backlash. It was the reality that race had begun to overshadow basketball itself. He admitted that he couldn't simply admire elite skill without first filtering his words through racial implications. That's a massive problem for any sport. Basketball is supposed to be about performance, creativity, competitiveness, and moments that make people jump out of their seats. When identity politics dominate the narrative, the universality of the game collapses. This is where Gilbert Arenas enters the conversation with a completely different energy. Gilbert doesn't hesitate. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't overthink. He looks at Caitlin Clark and sees exactly what she is, a generational talent who arrived at the perfect moment to shift attention toward the WNBA. In his view, the league was handed a rare gift, someone capable of drawing mainstream eyes, selling tickets, boosting ratings, and creating buzz far beyond the existing fan base. Instead of fully embracing that opportunity, parts of the league responded with resentment. Gilbert highlighted this through one symbolic example: Caitlin Clark receiving a signature shoe. That moment triggered frustration among players who had been in the league for years, won MVPs, and captured championships without ever receiving that level of brand support. But Gilbert's argument is blunt and honest. Caitlin didn't steal anything from anyone. She exposed a long-standing failure in marketing. For years, the WNBA struggled to turn its most accomplished players into household names. That wasn't Caitlin Clark's fault. That was a structural issue. When Caitlin succeeded where the system had failed, resentment followed. Instead of asking why the league couldn't market its stars effectively for over a decade, some chose the easier route, blaming the player who finally broke through. What makes Gilbert Arenas' perspective especially powerful is his position. He's a black former NBA player with no stake in WNBA politics. He's not protecting a narrative or chasing approval. He's simply describing reality. Caitlin Clark's impact is measurable. Arenas fill up when she plays. Ticket prices rise. Television ratings spike. Social media engagement explodes. None of this is subjective. None of it is racial. It's a result of a style of play that captivates audiences. Yet the WNBA allowed a culture to form where stating those facts became controversial. Praising Caitlin Clark was treated as an attack on other players. Fans felt obligated to preface compliments with disclaimers, acknowledging history, respect, and balance before daring to say she was special. That constant emotional negotiation is exhausting. Sports fandom isn't supposed to feel like a courtroom defense. It's supposed to be joy. And when joy disappears, engagement follows. Casual fans don't want to be lectured. They want drama, excellence, rivalry, and unforgettable moments. By conflating appreciation with disrespect, the league made it harder for people to connect emotionally with the product. One small but revealing example captures this perfectly. Alex Serrett from Indiana named his dog after Caitlin Clark. There was no agenda behind it, no political statement, no calculated messaging, just appreciation for what she did for his university and for the sport he loves. That's organic fandom in its purest form, people connecting with athletes who inspire them, regardless of background or identity. The WNBA's response to Caitlin Clark's popularity exposed a fundamental misunderstanding of sports marketing. When a player transcends a sport and attracts new viewers, you don't interrogate those fans. You don't question their motives. You don't demand ideological purity. You welcome them. You educate them. You convert curiosity into loyalty. The league had a rare moment, a bridge between hardcore fans and the mainstream audience. Caitlin Clark didn't divide the sport. The reaction to her did. And unless the WNBA learns from this moment, it risks repeating the same mistake the next time a truly transcendent talent arrives.